Don't take these injectables.
This is absolutely wild. Dr. Mike Yeadon, who is one of the former vice presidents of Pfizer, is now saying that the COVID vaccines were actually designed to reduce fertility. Take a look at this.
If you've followed me, you'll know I over 30 years in research in the pharmaceutical industry and biotech. I trained in toxicology and I worked with colleagues designing experimental molecules that we hoped would become medicines. That gives me the credentials to stand, as it were, in the shoes of the designers of these vaccines and answer the question, what were you thinking when you made these design decisions? Now you can go and watch any of my interviews, but I'll cut to the chase. And you may not believe it, but I am sure, not slightly, but sure, these materials were designed intentionally to harm, maim, and kill, and to reduce human fertility. That is my verdict, and I can stand it up. I will be in court, Supreme Court in Costa Rica very shortly, and I'll be using exactly this argument, but I will give the detail. That's the first point. So don't take these injectables. Don't take the next lot either. They will also be designed to harm you. All mRNA-based materials are dangerous. Don't take them.
All right, that is a former VP at Pfizer. Obviously, I can't speak to the claim there specifically. Jay, this is a little more your department. I mean, we've heard all sorts of stuff about mRNA technology now, even from Robert Malone, who owns more patents on it than anyone else. I mean, what do you make of this stuff at this point?
Okay, so first, I don't think he's right. I don't think that specifically in one point, I don't like in my experience with drug developers and others, I don't see that any of them would intentionally design a molecule in order to create infertility. And you know, that just doesn't ring true with me. I don't see anything in the sort of the makeup of the vaccine that just from this molecular sequence or whatever that screams out this is going to cause infertility. None of that particular thing doesn't make sense. Now,
okay.
But it may, like the question of does it cause infertility, right? Does it cause birth defects? Those are empirical questions that are actually often answered after you've rolled the vaccine out, because the randomized trials don't have pregnant women in them. They generally don't ask that kind of question. They don't have the sample sizes to address it.
So those are not enough time, right? I mean, there's just simply not enough time.
So that's why I think he's being hyperbolic in ways that I don't agree with. I do agree with one part of this, and maybe there's some of the spirit of it, in the sense that I think that the regulatory agencies have been very, very slow to look at these kinds of side effects from this vaccine. And they were motivated in large part because they thought that if people thought that there were these kinds of side effects, or if they actually identified these kinds of side effects, no one would take the vaccine. I don't understand why that would be a bad thing. Like if one were to find that there was fertility defects caused by the vaccine, then you should not be recommending it to pregnant women, to women that are trying to get pregnant, or just generally to younger people. It would make no sense to do that, right? So that would not be a bad outcome. And yet the regulatory agencies, because they were afraid that it would cause vaccine hesitancy, I believe that's the motivation, did not act as rapidly as they should have and as rigorously as they should have to identify the side effect profiles of this vaccine like they would normally for other drugs and products.
Hey, don't click away just yet, because today's video is brought to you by our friends at 1775 Coffee. Guys, instead of waking up tomorrow morning and drinking your mold-infested, big corporation-owned, woke ideology coffee that's probably making you sick from the pesticides it's sprayed with, try Rumble 1775 Coffee. Support freedom of speech and build a parallel economy that actually values you. Go to 1775 Coffee right now and pick up your first bag. Use code Rubin to save 10% off your first order.